Look at that. Perfect.
Hello. We're here.
That
Oh,
we are. Hello, Miss Jane. So welcome to SnL.
I know. We're back.
We're back.
Yeah.
Had a week off.
Yes.
Of course, we had other things, but we had a week off, sort of.
Yeah. It's just a week off, and I forget what I'm supposed to be doing.
You too?
I'm like, oh, what buttons do I push?
You know, it's funny because earlier today I was like, I really should write down everything Sarah does to make this happen every week.
Just in case.
Just in case. Because I might be able to get there. There's a few buttons you push.
I push buttons.
You push a few buttons to make all of this come together.
Yeah.
Yes. So
here we
yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Lisa.
Yep, and I'm Sarah.
For anyone
someone
who's
asked what
joining.
SnL stood for today, so I told her for Sarah and Lisa, and
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, that makes total sense." Once you know that.
Once you know it makes perfect sense. Absolutely.
Yes.
Which we had to sit in this order so that it
SnL. Yes.
Otherwise,
which is backwards, really, because we're really not on.
We're really not on those sides,
no.
But you know, we try to make it look good. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah. It's embroidery month. It's National Machine Embroidery Month, not just embroidery. Apparently, hand embroiderers don't count for this month. Just machine embroidery.
I know it's a 4-letter word, but I'm contemplating
taking up some
just embroidery, not sewing.
Yeah.
That there's two different things. There's decorative stuff, and then there's construct. I don't construct anything by hand. No.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking maybe some decorative stuff. I can learn how to make little flower petals or
I'm not
things on that. I'm thinking about it. I don't know.
It's good to have goals.
Goals are good.
Yeah.
You know,
stuff to plan. In your spare time?
In my spare time is the problem right now.
Yeah.
So, hello.
All right. It looks like we got a bunch of people joining us. So that's
yay.
good. So we thought last month we kind of did a whole month of scan and cut stuff and sort of did a progression.
We did.
And so we thought maybe.
And that worked pretty well.
Yeah. This month we would talk about all things embroidery. And we thought we would start at the very beginning. So maybe you're thinking about buying your first embroidery machine, or maybe you're thinking about upgrading and you want to know a little bit about it. So we thought we'd do like cliff notes, right?
Yes.
So of things that you should know, whether or not you come and buy from us. Of course, we would love to have you.
But we know a lot of you are nowhere near us.
Right.
So,
or you go to your local dealer.
Some things that maybe you should think about before you go.
Yeah.
And some questions we'll tell you that maybe you should have an idea of an answer to, so that they can help you, or we can help you find the machine, the right fit for you. Because there's a lot of options out there, and different things are better for different types. One of the biggest things is, flatbed versus free arm. Some of you may not even know that that's a thing.
Right.
So that's probably where you should start, is deciding.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we ask, when you come into the store. What type of embroidery machine are you, or what are you going to be using it for?
What do you want to make? What's your goal? What are the projects that you want to do? Because that's going to determine the direction that we go, or we guide you in to making your decisions based on what it is that you want to do. Because, if I just want to stitch something on my zip up hoodie,
right,
that's this. Okay, a whole bunch of stuff will work for that.
Yep.
If you want to do caps, if you want to do baby onesies, and more specific things, pockets and smaller area, things like that, then we've got some other suggestions.
Or a business versus home
versus personal use.
Yep, I'm giving them away, or my gifts or something.
Right.
Lots of onesies of different things, not a baby
onesies and twosies.
Yes. So I have some pictures for you.
She's been working so hard.
Yes. So we really have two distinct types of machines. We have the multi-needle free arm style. Not always multi-needle. Sometimes they only have one needle, but they're
in that same build.
Yes.
So they're going to be a free arm embroidery instead of a flatbed embroidery.
Yes. And so the picture underneath the multi-needle is a picture of something that has a free arm. So there's space underneath where that hoop goes And then the picture underneath the flatbed, that there's actually something flat underneath it. So you don't have a place to like put the back part of your t-shirt or a bag or something like that. You have to get a little bit more creative for things that are in the round.
Yeah, you get the little tunnels. And those are the ones you definitely babysit.
Yes.
So,
yes.
you know, depending upon the kinds of things that you want to do, it could be that simple. So let's say, okay, yep, I want a free arm. I definitely decided that.
Yep.
There's ranges within that. So it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to run a business.
Right.
And so I need, you know, you can run a business from either machine.
Yes.
Depending upon the types of things that you want to do on those machines.
Technically, not warranty wise.
Technically, not warranty wise.
We probably should put a little side note in there.
Technically.
Most of the manufacturers won't actually honor a warranty if they find out that you're running a business on your home
quote unquote
flatbed style machine. So that's something just to be mindful about when you're thinking about what it is that you want. You know, we're certainly not going to tattle on you, but if we try to put in like too many warranty claims on something, they'll find a reason to say
that stitch count gets obnoxious,
overuse or something like that. Yeah,
for sure.
And that's not just like a Baby Lock or Brother thing. That's
that's a pretty much industry standard thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter what brand you're talking about.
Not really.
So here is a little picture of our Baby Lock Valiant. This happens to be the 10 needle. We have a 10 needle, a 6 needle, and
you got the Venture on there.
Venture? Okay, yep. Sorry. Yep.
I'm like, I took my glasses off, but I don't know.
Yeah. Same thing, different.
It is this. It's one model different.
Yeah, this is the new one, or this is the old
Valiant one. Is the new one.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's hard to keep our pictures updated in our computer. They do change rather frequently. But the 10 needle, regardless of what the name on the front of it is, sorry, that was totally not necessary. I just was like, what is that?
You're absolutely right. Yep. I'm just making it up as I go.
Hey, and that's all most of us do these days, right? But yeah, so a 10 needle is wonderful for business.
Yes.
It's also wonderful for personal use, though. So don't discount that being the right machine for you,
right?
Just because you're going to use it for personal use. There's a lot of people that own it for that. But if you are running a business, this is ideal for sure.
For sure.
Lots of things here.
Yep. You've got the picture on there kind of looks funky, but there is a hat hoop on there. So you are doing something circular, which means that free arm allows your hat to actually
rotate. It rotates around the free arm itself, and so it gives a curved surface.
Exactly.
A beautiful stitch. So,
which is substantially easier than like if you've ever tried to smush something that's round and make it flat. It's really hard to go straight across a circular surface. It doesn't sit flat. So
Leslie's very kind.
You all are picky like me, and I follow everything you all suggest. And it has made my embroidery so pretty. I hate puckers, as do you all. That was really nice. So yeah, we are.
Thank you, Leslie.
We try. We work really hard to teach you guys ways that you can make it as perfect as you want it, right? Yep. So it doesn't have to be always super perfect. Sometimes.
Nope. Sometimes close enough is good.
It's good. Yes.
You know, it depends on what it is that you're doing. But, you know, if you're doing a tea towel and you're, you know, even a half inch off center, who cares? Just fold it a little different.
Right. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. You know, so there's times where you have to be picky, and there's times where you can just like, it's good enough for who it's for.
Yep.
Usually me. But yeah, so thank you for that. But yeah, so that free arm is definitely a huge advantage. So the picture, as she said, is showing you a hat, which is a curved surface, which can be complicated. You can do, but you're not going to enjoy it, and it's probably not going to come out quite like you expected.
Yeah, it's hard to do words like straight across, like trying to smush it down on a flatbed.
Yeah, if you're doing something circular, it can kind of work because you're usually a little less wide.
Yes.
But if you're trying to do anything with length and smushing, that's not going to work.
It just doesn't smush straight.
It just doesn't.
You have to straight. Like change it's complicated.
It is, most definitely. So, yeah, so the free arms and the hats are definitely a thing. Bags, that's actually the reason that I first bought that style of, I bought the single needle to get started with.
I knocked it over.
You're like, oh, I was like, what?
My phone and computer. Yeah, I totally thought it just knocked my coffee cup over.
But yeah, so being able to get into a bag without having to take it apart, or pockets of a bag without having to take the bag apart to get in there, because with such a small space, you can just right over top of it, and then the excess just hangs below the machine. So being able to get into bags and pockets and things like that are definitely going to be an advantage. So that was when I was working at Vera Bradley, and I might have owned a bag or two. Oh wait, I still might own a bag or two.
Yeah.
But that was the reason for me to jump into that. That was my secondary machine. But it's been, I was going to do hats. At least that's what I told my husband.
Yeah.
How many hats have I made? But it has happened.
You've taught a lot of hats.
I have taught a lot of hats, but I've physically made 2 at home.
It made you better to teach.
It did.
It prepared you for this venture.
It actually got me here, because when I came in to pick up that machine is when I got offered the job to work here.
See,
there you go. So you just never know. You should totally buy a machine. We could surprise you.
Yeah. Do you want to work here? They're gonna be like, heck no, I'm not working with these crazy people.
Oh my God, they're crazy. Heavens no. So t-shirts, set it and forget it, and designed to be run all day.
Anything else to add?
I will say that I think a lot of people look at it and they get afraid because it looks different. It looks like a piece of machinery instead of a sewing or embroidery. It doesn't give you that warm, fuzzy feeling. It is really not hard.
No.
They really have... Yep. Yep. But they really are very straightforward.
Yes.
At least ours are. I can't speak. I know that ours are comparatively way more user friendly than some of those other ones that are out there, but they are very user friendly, and anything that you already know. So you already have one, and this might be a second or a bump up for you. Everything that you already know is going to apply.
Yes.
So it's not like it's a completely different system. It's not at all. All of those basics are still going to continue on there. You're going to have a slightly different hooping. But once you thread it once, you really don't have to thread it, quote unquote, again. And so it's a lot easier than people believe that it's going to be. They look at it and they are afraid. Don't let what it looks like scare you away,
right? Because
it could be the perfect machine
absolutely
for what you're doing. So I know it looks different, but it's not.
No.
And they are wonderful, and the stitches they create are absolutely stunning.
Nothing really stitches better than
that vertical bobbin.
Yeah, it gives such a beautiful stitch. And I still don't know the exact reason as to why this is, but you really don't have to have as much stabilizer in a commercial embroidery machine as you do a flatbed. Just the way that it holds everything in and it actually performs the stitch. You don't get as much pull in as you do on a machine that does both. It's just one of those weird little nuances about the machines. And I've worked on a variety of different brands, and I find that to be true across the board.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter what one I'm like standing next to. I'm looking at that thinking, on my machine at home, I'm going to have 2 layers of that stabilizer in order to produce that same stitch.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not gutsy enough, because I still stabilize everything the same way.
But I mean, you do have to stabilize, but like if you've come from like a multi-needle and then you move over to the flatbed, you really do see like, you're like,
oh, wait a minute.
It's so much. The tension is really substantially tighter, which really draws in differently on our flatbeds versus the multi-needle machines.
But and it might be the way that the stitches are being created with the vertical versus the horizontal bobbin. I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
I can tell you that they both tend to stitch, at least at the higher ends on the flatbeds, at the same speed. But you actually finish faster on a multi-needle because it ramps up to speed faster.
Yes.
So even though it's technically that same 1,000 ish stitches per minute, you're going to finish first on a multi-needle.
Yeah, you also don't have to stop to change.
And you're not stopping to change. So there's multiple things that are going to be in your favor there.
Right.
So I do think that they're a little bit better. And not that you would look at it and go, oh, that one's different. It's not like that, but you can tell a difference in the stitch.
Yeah.
If you put two things next to each other side by side.
Right.
For sure.
And you're picky.
If
you nitpick things. I think what I've noticed for people is that if they come from like a flatbed embroidery machine and they go to a multi-needle machine, the thing that they have the hardest part understanding is the threading, not how to thread the machine, but how to
tell the machine.
Yeah, because you're so used to having to do one at a time.
Right. And you have to think about the whole project in one shot instead of in one color stop.
And they still think of it like in the same way, like color number 1 has to be the color, needle number 1 has to be color number 1.
And it doesn't.
And it doesn't really need to be that way. So I think that for a lot of people is the hardest part of wrapping their brain around.
The difference.
Yep.
So there is absolutely more than one way to skin that cat too.
Yes.
We talk about that. So there's different ways that you can tell the machine which needle to use where and things like that. And as with anything else, we're going to be here to help you learn how to do that.
Yep.
And answer questions over the phone or in your training, your lesson before you go home or whatever. So this is the kind of machine that you're going to want for the types of things that we talked about. And as Joan says, it looks complicated and it's not. It is slightly different. Everything that you already know plus.
Yes.
But it's not that it's hard. It's just a little bit of a variance. And you will have us, if you're local anyways, to show you how that works and answer those questions over the phone as well when you're at home and you're like, okay, you told me how to do this and I don't remember.
Exactly.
I mean, I answer that phone call all the time, okay, I can't get my needle. I need it to go here. I can't figure it out.
Right.
It's, it's simple enough. We can walk you through it over the phone. In minutes. It's literally it's not as scary as people think that it's going to be.
No.
So don't let that be
the
reason that you don't dive into that, because
and if
I can tell you once you start using it, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this years ago?
Exactly. And if you go home with it and you're afraid of it, keep taking a class, keep signing up for the one-on-one lessons until you feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
Because once it clicks and once you feel comfortable with it, you're going to be like, what was I thinking? Yes. This is awesome.
So multi-needles.
Yeah. Relatively, in the big picture, our multi-needles are basically affordable wise similar to like our 8x12 and 9x14 and so up at the higher end model flatbeds. So your price point wise,
if you're looking at an embroidery only and you've been in a flatbed,
yes,
and so you're looking at our 9.5x14, that is the best that you can get flatbed embroidery only.
Yep.
Price wise, there's a 6 needle that's pretty much in that range. So there's machines that we can get you into.
Exactly.
And actually I misspoke.
Single needle.
The single needle is the price of the embroidery only ish in that range.
Yes.
The 10 needle is in
like the luminaire range
price point wise. So you've got that range in there, but there's definitely a range. It's not, 15,000 to get into any of those. You can get in there very inexpensively and in comparison wise.
Yes.
And again,
and we do get them as used occasionally. We have,
we do
6 needles more so than 10 needles because a lot of people are trading to go to 6 to 10.
Right.
When you're at 10, sometimes you're just trading to get a new 10. They don't stick around super long.
No.
But we do get them.
Very rarely have them here for a long period, but we do get them.
Yep.
So great direction to go in if you are doing repeated things, if you're doing lots of things. If you have logos that are 10 colors or less and you are running a business, totally the way you want to go, because you push it, you go, you set it as she's wrote in here. As you're wrote in, as you've written it there, you set it and you forget it because it changes the thread colors for you. So you up to 10, depending upon what machine that you've taken.
Yep.
So definitely a huge time saver because then you can go and do the finish work or whatever while your machine is stitching. So huge advantages to that style of machine.
For sure. All right. So now we have a flatbed. So a flatbed, right, is good for a multitude of things.
Absolutely.
Especially like our in the hoop projects, because in the hoop projects, they have a lot of starting and stopping.
Right.
And then it's much easier because this machine is just programmed to stop.
Right.
So
where on a multi-needle, the whole point is that it doesn't stop. Now you can program it to stop, but
you got to pay attention.
You have to program it to do that. Unless your design was literally programmed that way in the software, you will have to say, I need you to stop here, here, and here so I can add in my zipper or add in. So ideally, flatbeds are generally a preferred route from an in the hoop project where you're going to be adding in pieces because it automatically stops. Versus having to program that in a multi-needle. But again, not that you can't do it that way.
But
it's just generally a little bit easier because it's
already
doing what it's programmed to do. Those in the hoop projects can be anything, you know, zippered bags, wall hanging pieces, little pillows. I mean, so many different things.
Stuffed animals. There
are so many things. You know, we've been doing like the jar topper things that have been really popular. We've got rope bowls that have become very popular online. You see them everywhere. We now have Kimberbell's got a new piece out
they've got their own rope.
They've got their own rope, and there's a design pack that are designed for that, you know, circular shape that would go on the base of a bowl. So those kinds of things are definitely going to be easier on a flatbed. And if that's the vibe and the things that you are interested in, that's probably the best bet in that direction. Do we have like sizing things as we go? Okay, then I won't say anything more right now. So
and then like there's magnetic hoops available for the multi needles and the flatbed machines. The picture here has one of our new magnetic hoops, which has the sort of the top
multi-piece
is multi-piece, so it's really easy to smooth out your fabric. The number one complaint that we hear, I love my magnetic hoops, I love my dime magnetic hoops, so don't think I don't, but the number one complaint that we hear about them is that it's hard to get the top on without pinching your fingers or getting it lined up specifically where you need it, whereas this style,
it kind of does all those things.
It does all of those things for you, but it does make hooping your quilt projects super easy. And, you know, to do a quilt on your flatbed machine, to do embroidery as you're quilting, because it is flat, it supports the quilt a little bit easier.
Got that being, it's not tipping off, if you will, because there's nothing underneath of it giving it that support. It's staying nice and level because the bed of your machine is flat and level, so you have a larger surface. In this case, that's to your advantage. So it's a wonderful add-on option. And quilting has become huge in the embroidery hoop, so there are tons of things that are available out third party in all different ways, not to mention all of the different things that our machines have built into them already. So anything that has the design center or the IQ designer has built-in abilities to do quilting things right in your hoop, that you don't have to have excess files for. It's got it all built right in. So quilting is huge, and we have many options. That said, you don't have to have that big one to do that, because there are third-party pieces that you can bring in, but it's definitely a huge thing with the built-in systems that we have in so many of our machines.
Jane said that she was concerned the magnets wouldn't be as strong, but boy, was I wrong. They're very strong. I haven't had any issue with anything that I have put underneath there. As a matter of fact, Lisa and I have been loving the new 7x12 magnetic hoop, and if you're a Brother or Baby Lock owner, they've been rolling back, I think, most of the machines that can do 7x12.
I think everything that has it is now available for
there's a software
update if you haven't already updated your machine.
that will recognize
that
hoop.
It should have that out there now. I know that they just did middle of December, end of December, they did the Dream and the Destiny.
Yep.
The only ones left would be those 7x12, 8x12.
And I think they did those
machines. And I think they did those
Yeah.
Along with that. So pretty sure everything that should be able to from past models is there.
Yeah.
So great option. There are magnetic hoops available for multi-needles.
Yes.
But this particular one that we're discussing is a flatbed.
Yes.
hoop.
Yeah, and it just like that 7x12 is super nice, like towels and things like that. You know, you open up your towel and it has you always have a lot of space. So it works really good. I used to use my 6x10 magnetic hoop a lot. And so this has come and worked in place of that. It's almost the same size.
The 7x12 hoop,
the standard
is
one,
my favorite hoop.
Yeah.
That size is my favorite. So I'm so used to it already. One of the things that I like about it, the standard 7x12, is that it's a little skinnier. So this one's a little bit bigger. It takes a little bit more stabilizer, but totally worth it.
Yes.
It's totally worth it.
So that really is your flatbed. So anything that you can lay flat, right?
Anything.
So Kimberbell really made they make their own set of blanks now. So they have like zippered bags and pillows.
They've now got little cinch drawstring bags.
Yep.
There's still wine bags available.
Like little backpacks. They made all that are normally
a little
round,
harder to
right?
do. They've made as a blank, and what that means is that like one side is not sewn together, so you embroider on it without any problems getting to the spot that you need.
Yep, because they're flat,
right? And then afterward, you just sew up that open, whatever it happens to be, edge. Maybe there's more than one, but that's all it's all finished. You just have to sew it back together, basically, because you didn't have to take anything out to be able to do that. It comes like that.
Yeah.
So there are other companies. OESD has some other ones as well, which are really nice.
Yeah.
So Kimberbell by far is not the only, but I think they really kickstarted it.
Yeah, they have I think the most different.
I think they have the most options
right now.
But the blanks are a wonderful thing that give flatbed owners the ability to do things that were a little bit harder before, or you wanted to have a multi-needle for.
Right.
So
that has helped a lot.
But anything that's flat. So even your t-shirts and your sweatshirts, you can still do them. You just have to get a little bit more creative.
Yes.
And we've talked about that many times, and we certainly give lessons in that how to do hooping odd things or odd shaped things or whatever those, we'll help you out with those things. If you're one of our machine customers, we're here for you. Absolutely. And that's what I started doing was clothes.
Yeah.
So that was lots of names. Who knew how many employees you had? I do, because I had to put everybody's name. That was definitely a learning curve.
For sure. All right. So make a list of what you want to embroider. Those are important things to know when you're walking into your dealer or you're calling your dealer. Those types of questions are very helpful in us helping you find the right machine,
the right fit.
And so, investing in the right embroidery machine is crucial. It's just like buying baby clothes. The goal is to help you find a machine that you can grow into rather than out of too quickly. So helping make a long-term investment in your passion. That's our goal here. I mean, that is like our number one job, whether it be for embroidery or for sewing. Absolutely. Is to ask you the important questions. And if you don't know the questions to ask, help you figure out those questions so that we can guide you to the right machine.
And certainly don't feel bad if you don't have all of the answers before you walk in the door. Most people don't.
No.
It's just something that when you are looking, there's less buyer's remorse if you know what you wanted before you got there, it's a lot easier to close the gap to getting you to the right machine than if you're like, yeah, I have no idea. I just think I want to start embroidering.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's just so many. So embroidery machines start at only in a combo, but at 4x4 inches basically. And they go up in our line anyways, up to 10.5 by 16. There's a lot of machine there, and a lot of range. And there's a big price point range that is going to all come into play as to, you know, what one is right for you. And, you know, your mind might say, well, I want that 9.5 by 14. Okay. Maybe your pocketbook doesn't agree with what you want. So, you know, we'll help you. But if you say, hey, I want as big as I can get, this is what I really like. Let's talk about that. Okay. Well, maybe that's not it. Then we can go backwards from that. But knowing where you want to be. And, you know, we always, and it sounds like it's a sales gimmick, and it's not, but we always tell you to buy the most hoop that you can afford.
Yep.
Because if you like embroidery, you're going to get hoop envy very quickly. So buying a little bit larger than maybe what your original thought was, if it's in your budget, it's going to end up saving you money, because you're not going to end up buying a second machine a year later or whatever that happens to be. So it's definitely
the truth is, it's like buying a car, right? As soon as you go home with the machine, it's depreciated
used and it's yours.
And because, you know, it doesn't, if you walked into the store and I said to you, oh, this is used, but they took it home for 5 minutes and they brought it back, you're going to look at me and think that I'm crazy, right? Yeah, sure they did. No one really does that. They do.
they do.
But you know, we don't want to appear like the sleazy car salesman people that are trying
definitely not our vibe.
No, that are trying to pull some wool over your head. You know, when we put our used machines up on our website, you know, if we can get the stitch count on it, we put the stitch count on it. We tell you, it's not a secret, you know, it shouldn't be a secret. You should know what you're buying.
Absolutely.
And so we want to be honest. So
and maybe that's the way that you get into the machine that you want, is taking a previously loved machine home. We have those. We get them.
We get really good ones
regularly. And you know, that is absolutely a way where you can get more hoop bang for your buck by buying something that's previously loved. And you know, for us anyways, I can't speak to anybody else, but we warranty anything. You know, we guarantee that it's not going to go home and blow up in your face.
Right.
You know, and we give you some time. It's not like it's a 3-day or it's not even a 90-day warranty. I mean, we give you time on that so that you have the ability to feel comfortable with taking something like that home. And, you know, we throw that question out to people and they're like, oh, I never thought I don't know the answer to that. So, you know, think about that when you come in. I'd like something new in the box, but I'm willing to think about a previously loved, because maybe that, or I absolutely don't want anything. I absolutely have to have it new in the box.
Right.
So, you know, line in the sand.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Right.
And that's okay.
It is. I mean, you know, that there's a market for people who are okay with something that's been sort of broken in. You go, all the bugs are worked out on it.
Absolutely.
But sometimes it gets you into your dream hoop. You know, I mean, sometimes that 9.5 by 14 inch size is like, that is where
that's the cat's meow,
right? I need it.
I need it. I have no idea why, but I need it.
I need it. I sat by some lady in class and she had it and I need it.
And that happens morning. There's absolutely, I mean, that's what happened to me. Hoop envy.
Yeah.
You know, totally. I started with that 4x4 and I was like, yeah, this is fun, but I want to do that. And I can't do that in a 4x4.
Yeah. I went from basically the entry level 4x4 to the top of the line Viking. That was my first purchase in a year. So I went in the middle, and the salesperson that I had was awful. Like she should have asked better questions, or she should have known more, or she should have pretended to know more. But I went from like one card system to another card system, which was silly because of course I didn't have any any media for that one, right?
That, right.
I'm glad they don't make card systems anymore, but I ended up going from the littlest to the biggest, and realized it was so much better. You know, it was just like,
it had everything I wanted,
right?
plus
like,
a few things to grow into.
It was like driving a car with heated seats. I just had all the bells and whistles. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Next one's gonna have a heated steering wheel too, though.
Yeah, I have that on one car. It's really nice.
Yeah. Oddly enough, my son's car had that. And I drove his car for a little while because I was in between cars, and it was before he actually had a license. We got the car a little bit early. I really liked that. So if there's something you really like, you gotta know. So
this is great. So it happens, and
this has happened more than once.
Sometimes we get these. So she traded in a perfectly good Solaris for her Luminaire because she wanted the brother connection with the Scan and Cut and the Print Moda. It was her retirement gift to herself.
Congratulations.
Yes, that is until just a couple years ago, we could say and mean it when we were at the top of the line machine. There really was no significant difference between the two brands
here.
Yes, here. Who had the better special, the better package, or
maybe they were offering financing and the other wasn't, or something like that.
If you really had to have Disney, then you went to one or the other. But they did make that change.
With that connection feature on the brother, that definitely is a really neat thing.
Yes.
And it's like an upgrade
for sure
that it puts into the machines. So definitely a lot of features that are available. And don't be afraid to ask questions. We're going to ask you questions. We actually like it when you ask us questions, because that helps us make sure that you're doing the things that we want to get you into the right thing. And that helps us do that. So for sure.
This one is my favorite.
Does size matter?
Yes.
Well, yes, it does. So
many ways.
The reality is, I just want to do this. And a lot of us that we're focused, this is why I'm here, because I saw this and I want to do this project. And I only need a 5x7 hoop to do that.
That's really bad grammar. Most common state. It's supposed to be the most common statement about hoop size.
Oh, you probably got interrupted.
I might have. Apparently my brain works faster than my fingers.
That happens a lot around here too. So it absolutely does, because you're not going to only make that one thing.
No.
That might be what triggered the visit and the thought of, hey, I want to get into this hobby. But that's definitely not going to be the only thing that you ever do, or even only that type of something.
Right.
It just doesn't happen. I don't know that I've ever met anybody that only does one thing.
No. And if you don't know, when you come into a shop, ask, show me some of the other things that you can do in the hoop.
We've got samples all over the place.
Anyone should have some sort of sample, or be able to talk to you about the different types of things.
The bare minimum, pull patterns off the wall if they don't have a sample stitched. Well, see, this is something, and this is something, and a lot of different things that are out there, and they keep coming up with more.
Yes.
It blows my mind.
I'm still trying to get over the finished bag.
In the
zippered bag with the lining.
Lined, mind
in my
you,
embroidery hoop.
In the embroidery hoop. And depending on how large your hoop is how big the bag can be.
Right.
You can make purses.
I know.
In the hoop. I mean,
it's not new, but it's still
it's still crazy, and then there's the little things that, Kimberbell goes out of the box with, and other people do too, but theirs was the first one that I really sat down in a class, and she was like, cut your stabilizer. I was like, what? No, that's going to mess everything up. Trust the system, she said. And I was like, okay, darned if she wasn't right, so there's absolutely going to be things you didn't know you could do. So if you have no idea, ask. Absolutely. Please ask.
If you're not a people person and you don't want to talk to people, Google it. Google what I can make in my embroidery hoop.
In the hoop project.
Yes.
That's the key term on that. So, but it is just, there's so many things. But you should know what your other options are
what you're
too.
capable
So
of.
what that machine and hoop size would be capable of.
Yes.
So 4x4 is great. Everybody needs to start somewhere.
Yes.
I started on a 4x4. My mother started on a 4x4. You started on a 4x4. It is extremely common. If you don't have to start at a 4x4, God bless you.
Yes.
You'll be so much happier.
Right.
But the reality is we all are at different spots in our lives. We all have a different spendable capital that we have available to that type of a thing. And everybody can't afford, we all want one, but we can't all necessarily afford a Luminaire or a Solaris or a 10 needle.
Right.
So that's why there's other ones out there.
Right.
So, you know,
and we don't want you to feel
we
bad.
don't want you to feel bad. And we don't want you to spend past your comfort level either.
No.
Because
then you
still have
because
you're going to have fun stuff to play with. So you got to save some money.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. It's, you know, there's definitely a range and everybody has to start somewhere. And there's, at least when you walk in this door, there is no judgment as to, you know, what it is that you want to do. We're going to make sure that we give you options, you know, unless you walk in and you say, I want to buy this machine and you hand us your credit card. We're going to walk you around the store and show you other things.
Yes.
Even if you just said, this is the one that I think I want.
Yep.
Okay, great. Let's go look at it. And then let's talk about what's on either side of it to make sure that you're in the right machine, you know? So if you've done that research and you come in, we're still going to ask you some questions, just warning.
Yep.
Otherwise we wouldn't be doing our job.
No, it's important. And a lot of people, the thing, and it's funny because somebody said it to me 2 times today on the phone when we were talking about hoop sizes. You know, Lisa and I both, we would strongly encourage people, if you have the available funds, to get yourself to at least a 6x10.
At least a 6x10 is a great place to start.
Because that is going to be, there's so many different things that you get when you get up to that 6x10 level on our machines that are just substantially easier. Just to name a few.
Physical change in the machine itself.
It's quieter. The foot handles differently. It cuts the jump stitches differently.
It has a hoop attachment that's easier.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Excuse me. You know, so I mean, there's definitely a lot of advantages to stepping up the line, because in addition to getting larger hoops, you also get bigger motors, because that makes sense.
Yep,
you have to have, you know, if your machine is going to be bigger, you're going to have a larger throat space because you need room for that hoop to move around.
Right.
So all of those things go up. So unfortunately, we don't have, you know, a $500 large hoop machine. That's not a thing, because you can't.
It's more machine.
It's more machine. So you end up having to pay for the parts, if you will, in addition to that hoop. So it does correlate. The bigger the hoop, the bigger the price tag.
Right.
But again, we have used machines and things that can sometimes offset that and still get you where you want to be.
Exactly. When Lisa and I bought our first embroidery machine, it was a few years ago, and 4x4 was the most common. We didn't have there. Nobody had a 10x16. There were larger.
That wasn't a thing then.
Commercial style machines were out there, but on the home side, you were really. And the majority of the designs that you purchased would fit in a 4x4 hoop. Or if it was a larger hoop, that person created that design to be
specifically for it.
Nowadays, because there are so many different things that people are doing in the embroidery module, crafty wise, like creating the in the hoop projects, you know, you would think that if I have a 4x4 hoop, I would be able to make a 4-inch zippered pouch, but you're making like a 2-inch zippered pouch.
By the time you turn it and you have your seam allowance, and, you know, and if you sew, you understand seam allowance and you have to take that out. So if my embroiderable field is actually 3.75 inches and I have to have a seam allowance on each side of that, then I've bumped that in. So now I'm down to 3 max.
Right.
Well, then I have whatever. I mean, there's so many things that are happening when you're creating those. The actual finished size is not super big.
It's not.
And you're always amazed. I'm still amazed when I finish something in one of those and I'm like, I really thought that was going to be bigger. You know, we just did the Easter event and, you know, the kit sizes were all pretty small because they're all supposed to fit on the tray.
Yeah.
Which that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. So one of the projects is a cute little bunny basket. So it's just this little tiny thing. And the square on the small one is like 2 1/4 or something like that for the base. If you measured out a 2 1/4 inch square, that's how large the bottom of that is, which is not very big.
No.
We did it in a 6x10 hoop because of all of the pieces and, you know, so that was, you had to have a 6. So the other size that they gave you was an 8x12. Well, that one sounds like that's got to finish pretty good size, right? That one's bottom is 3.
Yeah.
3 inches. So, you know, sometimes you need a massive size hoop to get a finished project that's going to actually be of any substantial size. It just depends on what it is.
Right.
So, your brain is going to be like, oh, I thought that was going to be bigger.
It definitely
because
happens.
which is why we say the 4x4 is limiting.
Yep.
However, if you're looking for a travel machine that you just want to do something small on,
maybe quilt labels,
a quilt label, or names, or just little
names on like fronts,
like
not
a
necessarily
left chest kind of thing. You know, it's a great thing for that. And if you get that coat, you know, we don't have a 4x4 that's not a combo anymore. We used to, but we don't, that's not in the lineup anymore. But that sewing machine, that's a great little sewing machine.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful for travel, and to have the additional capability of embroidery when you want it is a really nice feature.
Yes.
So
nice.
There's definitely a time and a place for all of our machines. It's just a matter of what's going to fit in your life.
Yes. So. And what you want to do, and how much you can afford. Those are all very valid things.
Yes.
And you know, they're important things. They're, you know, this is a fun hobby. It shouldn't you shouldn't spend your money and not be able to eat your food. So you know,
no, dinner's better.
We needed to bump you down on a machine. Yeah, we're not that, you know, it's important to balance it. We want you to be able to continue to come here, and we wouldn't want anybody to feel like we pushed you past your comfort level, because then you won't come back and show us all the fun things you made.
And we love to see the fun things that you guys make.
Yes.
I mean, you know, we don't get to sew that often anymore.
So we have to live vicariously
through you. Exactly. So yes, size definitely matters. But again, every machine has a home somewhere. You know, there's a purpose behind all of them.
Yes.
Whether it be a second machine for you, or whether it be this is where I'm at in my life and this is all I can do. I mean, that's why I started at 4x4. I wanted a bigger one. I knew I wanted a bigger one, but heck no. That was not in the cards at that time. So I did what I could to keep my hand in the game, and then upgraded when I could.
When you can.
You know, and to that point, we do have things that can elongate out your payment. So if that is, you know, I really want that machine, but I just, you know, that would take me 6 months to pay for that. We can fix that. You know, we can help you with that. So there's other options there too.
Yeah. So it's not always easy to make something bigger. Or to make something smaller work for something bigger, because it has to be originally created that way. The machines are not smart enough.
So are you talking about splitting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we hear that often, and there's multi-position hoops for those smaller hoops size machines. And people think, oh, well, you know, I got a 5x12 hoop in my machine. Yeah, it still only can stitch 5x7.
Right.
You just rehoop that same thing more than once and slide it down and stitch the next section.
Yes. But if the design
wasn't designed for that, it's still not going to work.
It still just gives you 2 5x7s essentially that you can move the fabric in. So great for like a first name and a last name, because you can fit that in there. But it doesn't necessarily make a design that is 12 inches.
You can't take like the rainbow that's on the screen here and just stitch half in one hoop and half in the other so that you get, you know, a 10-inch by 5-inch. Nope, can't do that.
No. Maybe that'll be something they come out with someday.
You think maybe a new machine will have an auto split feature?
Wouldn't that be nice? That would
be kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe. We don't know anything.
And no, we're totally making this up as we go. But hey, if anybody's listening, put that in. That would be really cool. Push that button and it feathers the center and splits it for you. That would be really great.
Yes.
That would be really cool. So all you have to do is ask. Let us know how we can help you.
Yep.
Because that is our job, is to help you guys find what it is that you need to complete whatever it is that you want to make. That is literally what we do.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's
but don't be afraid to ask questions. And if your salesperson is like, oh my God, here's another question, and they're not the right salesperson, get somebody else. So because that you have to ask those questions, and you have to be able to ask questions as well as answer ours. So that's just part of the gig.
You got to be comfortable going, and that's the advantage of buying from a dealer. Even if you buy from a dealer and you bought it off their website, that part, you should still feel comfortable being able to call them on the phone or have some sort of a Zoom
lesson or something like that, which we have offered, and we haven't had anybody take me up on that. But someday somebody's going to say, hey, you mentioned that, when we're like, yeah, let's do that. But that said, of course, we are here to sell machines. That is literally what we do here. If you're not local, go find your local dealer. We highly recommend that you do that. But if you don't have a local dealer and there's nobody,
or if they stink,
or if they are just not able to help you, we certainly are happy to help you, and we will treat it you just like you live here. You're welcome to the phone call supports and things. Almost all of our machines are available online now, and are on our website. There are a few that we are not allowed to sell on the site, but that doesn't mean that we can't sell it over the phone or whatnot too. So
we'll make it work.
We will make it work if that's what you need. So the bottom line is we are here for you. That is the whole point. So ask the questions and let us know how we can help.
Plan and come and visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Visit your local person.
Or local, absolutely.
Or call us or email us.
All kinds of things, all kinds of ways. And we are here to help. So
it's been pretty quiet. It doesn't look like anybody has any questions.
I haven't seen a question. A lot of nice comments and fun things popping up, but yeah.
And next week we're going to talk about now that you own the machine,
the next step.
What do we do?
Now what?
Now what? Now what?
So what does this do? What does that do? How do I make this work? But just as important, what do I not do? So we'll talk about those things.
Once you buy an embroidery machine, when you decide on what you have, you will need stabilizers and bobbin thread and thread colors. So those are 3 things that you're going to need to have in order to start playing with your machines. Those don't typically, sometimes you can get a package, like they'll have like a starter kit or something like that. But a lot of times that isn't part of the actual machine. So you will need to.
I mean, we have that.
Yeah,
we've got a little starter kit of a little bit of this and a little bit of that and whatnot. So, I would imagine most places probably have some sort of that, whether they're partial rolls or pre-cuts or something that they've put together. But, if you don't want to just get a stabilizer, which you certainly could do depending upon what your plan is, you could go with a starter kit of something and just get little bits of everything and play. But you absolutely have to have stabilizer, which we'll talk more about next week.
Yes.
But make sure that you don't not have that and want to embroider, or you will not be happy.
We'll tell you all about that next week.
We will tell you all about it.
Yes.
All right. Without any other questions popping up, we're going to go ahead and chat a whole 5 minutes early.
Yes.
That doesn't happen very often.
No.
So thank you so much for hanging out with us this afternoon. We hope that it was beneficial. Thank you for those of you who said that it was. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And did I miss something?
Tell all your friends about us.
Tell all your friends about us. And the website is scrolling down there, as well as our email. If you would like to reach out, there's the phone number coming up right there. So if you have some questions, you know where to find us, and you can take a peek at some of those machines that we talked about at the website. So thanks so much. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.